Here's what happened. Leading up to my burnout in 2018, it happened after that social media conference. So leading up to it, I remember being in the office with the two other team members, and it was this Harry Potter closet of an office. It was like tucked away in the corner in this whole co-working space. And I remember thinking like, okay, what could be a win for the team that I could share with them? Because I just felt like there needed to be this boost of momentum to kind of keep going, because there'd been a lot of effort and a lot of work put towards this event already. And I thought to myself, looking at it, I'm like, I'm gonna tell them that there's 2,000 attendees. And so I say that to them, even though there isn't. It's not even close. And I'm the one who has access to being able to see how many people are coming in for the event, how many have signed up. And remember, my two team members, like, they shifted. It was like that excitement, energizing. You think about it, like 2,000 people coming to an event, like that changes the energy. But then what I didn't realize was happening at the time, but reflecting back, I could tell was like there was this emptiness that started to grow inside of me because I had lied. And the reason was because I thought I had to be perfect. And I had to not tell them really what was going on for the situation with the attendees and numbers. And I felt like I had to give them something that showed that this was going to be a perfect event, like it was going to work out. And so if you're in a situation like that, where you feel you have to be perfect and you can't tell people the full truth of what's going on, you feel you got to hold back, I get you. I want to remind you, you're not alone in this, and you can move through this and make those changes. And that's what I want to talk about, is focusing on your best rather than perfection. This is Make Burnout Extinct. I'm Robert David Weeks. Thank you for being here, for taking the time. There was, so many distractions that can come up, but by you being here, it does say something. And especially when I think about this topic of your best, focusing in on that, I want you to let you know that you can make the change from always focusing on perfection. You can change that to focusing on your best. It takes that time. It doesn't happen overnight, but it is possible. And so I appreciate that you are here, being able to take that time to listen in. I'm excited to be able to deliver for you. If you are new here, welcome. So fired up for you to be here. If you haven't subscribed and followed yet the show, please do for the latest episodes. And I have a few commitments for you. First one is that I'm committed to growing this show and continuing to grow the movement that's been built on this mission of Make Burnout Extinct. So by you subscribing and following the show, you're going to help support that commitment. The second commitment I have for you is to be honest with you, to share the true experience of what's going on, even when it's uncomfortable, because I don't want to just share the results of Make Burnout Extinct, where you can feel more alive, for that connection to the aliveness, rather than going through the motions of your day-to-day, connecting to feeling more energized, to feeling that momentum of your life, to move towards who it is you want to become and the vision you have for your life. Like, it's not just that, but it's also the hard work behind the scenes, the effort, the ongoing process, because Make Burnout Extinct, it's ongoing and it focuses on your habits. And so I want to make sure that you know what to expect and prepare for as you're going through this journey. And it is a journey that you're absolutely capable of making happen for your life, of making burnout extinct. I want to be very clear about that. And so I am fired up that you're here, pumped and excited for the community that's been growing with this mission to make burnout extinct. And let's get into it for today. Today, I want to talk about focus on your best rather than perfection. I want to get into understanding burnout again for you, for defining that, of what I believe its definition is and how it relates to the habits that you're doing every day. Then I want to get into these two ideas to focus on for yourself, relating to these moments of perfection that can come up, where you think you have to wear the mask and the shoulds, and like, how do they want me to show up, everyone in my life? How does my family want me to show up? How does my partner want me to show up? How does my work want me to show up? My community, being able to let go of that. And it's not going to happen overnight. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's not going to happen overnight, but it is possible to make those changes. And so I want to get into this idea, these two ideas to hold on to start this process for you. And then what I want to go through is a body scan. So this can come on back to the body. You can be reminded of the lean in, lean out technique. That's what these body scans are helpful to remind you of something you can do throughout the day to stay connected with the body and reconnect with the emotions and interpret the messages that are coming up from your emotions. Because they give you guidance along the way for your life. So let me come back into definition of burnout. So how I believe burnout is defined is that it is a major life transition that is forced on you through your body. And we can go through those three, the three generic red flags of burnout, which the first one is chronic exhaustion. Second one is this negativity overall for your work. It then seeps into your personal life, and then it can seep into your outlook on the world. Then the third one is terrible performance at your work. And then I think about that as just not showing up in your relationships, not showing up for yourself, thinking back to the health and fitness. That's how I interpret those three red flags. But it all leads into this major life transition. For me, that happened in 2018, where I could barely get out of bed to keep showing up for the day. I just felt so exhausted. And that's where I ended up eventually having to move back in with my parents after the event in 2018 for the social media conference. And so I know what that can feel like for that burnout. And there's so much unnecessary suffering that happens through that process that I feel you could avoid. And you can get the lessons before having to go through more of that suffering. And the other thing I want to highlight too with this journey of burnout is that especially if you're new here and this is the first time, I highly recommend going back to the first episode after this to be able to listen in on that story, because I go more in depth into the social media conference and what happened and what was building before that too. But when it comes to this spectrum I want to get into, so on one end you hit burnout. So that's on one end of the spectrum. But then on the other end of the spectrum, it's make burnout extinct. And this is where, for the podcast, it'd be awesome for you to spend most of your time there for your life, is make burnout extinct, where you feel more energized. You feel that aliveness of life. You are able to continue in this momentum towards who it is you want to become, the vision you have for your life. But this is the thing. Nobody is perfect. Okay. Perfection doesn't exist. I'm here to tell you that. No matter how much you may want it and hold tightly onto it and be like, come on, make it perfect for whatever it is that you're dealing with right now. I want you to know it doesn't exist. There is nobody, when I think about this spectrum of make burnout extinct and then burnout on one end, I have yet to meet someone or hear of someone, both online or in person, that hasn't at some point got hit with a challenge where one of their habits gets off track. Because every day there's this spectrum where your habits decide where you land, where on one end it's burnout, on the other end it's make burnout extinct. And those habits are either going to be energizing for you, and that moves you towards making burnout extinct, or draining for you, and that moves you towards hitting burnout and being dragged by the burnout beast towards a one-way ticket to hitting burnout. So these burnout proof habits is what I call them, for the energizing habits for you. And how it relates back to perfection and the wearing the mask is that in those moments, going back to when I lied leading up to the 2018 conference, and I lied so many other times, it took me a while to get this lesson of being honest. But through that journey, I was constantly feeling more stress, feeling the overwhelm, the anxiety, because I knew I was lying. I knew I was saying that to these people, yet I would see on the other end, everyone's so excited and ready to go. And eventually the event happened, and it ended up being 500 people that showed up for this event. And externally it was a success, but internally I felt like such a fraud. I felt like, oh my gosh, I got through that. Thank God that people didn't realize what happened. And it wasn't until then I hit my burnout that I really got the lesson in what happened. You can feel this weight on your shoulders when you're focused on perfection rather than your best. That's where lying can become so much easier. That's where you can go to wearing the mask and be like, oh, I'm fine. No problem here. I'm okay. There's nothing going on. When really internally inside, you're feeling that emptiness. and it's growing. And that can create that distress for the body, where then the body isn't letting you know the signals for you to be aware of that you're moving towards hitting burnout. Because again, the body is telling you and is letting you know. And it is like a balloon for the body, where you can fill up a certain amount of capacity for the stress, for the overwhelm, for the anxiety. It's not about getting rid of it all. It happens. Life happens. I mean, we're dealing with challenges. We're dealing with a lot of stuff going on. But it can get to a certain point with that balloon where it pops, and that's where the body hits burnout. And so for being able to let go of that perfection and letting go of the mask, that's where you're letting air out of that balloon and being able to create this harmony for yourself and your body. So the two ideas I want to get into to talk to you about this is the idea of being able to, it's the idea of disappointment, and then realizing that you are good and you are safe in your body. So I think back to competition, where with perfection, there can be this standard that you take on from other people for the standard of your life, for the shoulds. Like, you should take this job, you should go down this this path for your education, you should be able to find this partner. Like, it's all these shoulds. Like, I think back, I don't know. I'm just thinking back to like the movies where the mom goes, "You should marry her." Like, it's all the shoulds that come up in life. And so that when we have other people's standards, then it becomes this endless path that we're on, and it's to nowhere. Like, it just becomes this open loop, this open stress loop, because it's not coming back to what is our standards that we're creating for our own well-being. And that's where I think of getting into the your best idea, being able to connect to what is your best. And that is discovering, what do you want? Having that space to be able to reflect on that. Because I go back to the quote of John Butcher, which is, there is no one right way, but there is a right way for you. And so creating that space to be able to explore that. And so the way that you can do that is noticing things that create more energy for you, rather than things that drain you. Things that are creating more energy overall in the long term can be what you want. And then those things that drain you in the long term can be things to let go of. And when it comes to disappointment, I think about competition. Like, it can be fun and exciting, but then we can play the comparison game in this perfection of like, okay, I want to be perfect. And what I come back to for habits is that I don't know of anyone, both online or in person, that is completely perfect in every single area of their life. I don't know if you know someone like that truly, if you were to really ask someone to be honest with you. And so it's like trying to chase after this ghost that is just not there. It's out of reach. It's imaginary. Even though, hey, you may believe in ghosts, but like, it's not. It's that endless path to nowhere. And perfection, it can create clarity and certainty of, I'm going to be focused on being perfect. But then you're always not feeling satisfied. And you don't have those moments to be able to have gratitude for yourself, to come back to that the satisfaction of you put it all out on the line for today. I feel like there's always going to be something missing. And I noticed that for me with perfection, is I felt like there was always something missing. But when I came back to your best and my best, and I focused on that, then I could honor the days where I literally played full out. I put out all the energy I could and the effort I could for the tasks that I had set up at that moment, is how I felt. And so for me, that was a satisfying feeling of like, I felt like I put it all out there. And that can be this exhaustion that comes up. That's a satisfying exhaustion for you. So the two ideas to hold into the body is disappointment, because there are going to be days where you're going to feel disappointed. where you feel like you didn't push it. You still had stuff, I really like this from Alex Ramosi, where it's like you didn't empty the tank. You felt like you held back in certain ways. Like disappointment happens, or you didn't have opportunities that came through. Like that can happen. And it's giving yourself grace. Like disappointment is a great motivator. Get back out there for the next day and be able to push and go after what it is you want. And then the other idea is reminding yourself that you are safe. And that's what I think about with making burnout extinct, is you realize that you are safe in yourself and who you are, safe to be able to express your feelings and your views, being able to share the true experiences of your life, feeling safe and being able to do that. And that's where you have this trust and certainty with the body to know that you are safe to be able to express that. And so when you can have both of those there that you're holding on to, it creates it's a powerful combination for yourself to move through life in that way. Because you're going to have that grace for those days where you get off track, for your habits as you're moving towards making burnout extinct. And then you got to remind yourself in that disappointment that you're still safe, that you have so much to be grateful for in the day. You have so many moments in your days to celebrate these wins that you have, which is showing up and putting the reps in for your habits. And so I remind you as another one to celebrate your wins. So it's like, for me, I do a physical celebration. So it's tapping my shoulders, raise my arms up, and I go, yeah. But it didn't start that way. I did the woo. That's how I started. So it's like where you start isn't where you're going to end up. Doesn't have to be. But it involves you showing up and putting those reps in. So I want to give you that space now to be able to go through a body scan. And this is really helpful to do this throughout your day. You can do this after your work tasks or after these high moments where you notice a stress response from the body, to be able to close out the loop. Because when you can hold these two ideas of disappointment, giving yourself grace in those moments, and the safety with your body, then you're able to notice signals from your body that are letting you know you have these open stress loops. And the open stress loops could be an email that you got to go and send out soon, but it is causing you this stress of like, I got to send this email out. It might be a little awkward. It could be a little weird to this person for a situation that's happening at work where you got to just deal with it and get it done. It's going to be a hard conversation, but it's got to happen. Or it's letting your partner know that, hey, like I really didn't like what you shared with me in that moment. Like I had this other task I was doing. I got distracted a little bit, so I wasn't able to be fully present with you. So I just want to figure out how we can make that better moving forward for how we communicate. And so that can be a tough conversation. There can be some friction there. And so that can be an open stress loop. But the more you push it off, the bigger that stress loop becomes. And so with this lean in, lean out technique with the body scan, that's helpful to just come back to the body, recognize what is the message that this stress is creating for you, or this stress is bubbling up for you. What is that message that's coming through? And then being able to change the behavior in order to close that stress loop. So what you can do now is you can, if you are driving, please keep your eyes open. You can just take a moment to reflect through this body scan. If you're in a place where you can lay down, sit down, or just I even think if you're outside, being able to just take a moment to pause. I want to go through just a few minutes to get you to experience this body scan. And right now, what you can do is focusing on your breath. You can breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the mouth. Being able to do that one more time. Inhale and out. So now what you can do is lean in and bring your awareness. I'm even moving my hands up to my head. Just noticing what sensations come up for you from the body. You might not feel anything. It might be emptiness right now. You might notice some tingles, maybe a little itchiness. I feel some itchiness up there. But just take a moment to observe. Like we could move through life and it becomes so busy and things are happening. And then we just get so chaotic and lost in the tornado thoughts that we got to take a moment to come back to the reconnecting with the full body. So moving on down to the ears. You notice anything in the ears? To the jaw, I can't even open up my mouth. I'm gonna yawn. Moving on down to the throat, your shoulders, your chest, feeling that heartbeat. There was times where I actually was really afraid of my heartbeat, to realize that some of the things are just going at it. And it's this idea of letting go in these moments to just realize things are happening. Like your body, there's like almost nearly 40 trillion cells just doing their thing. And so when you don't feel safe in the body, these things that are just happening can feel sometimes scary, or there can be pressure or tension. And so it's just a moment to come back and recognize how badass the body is and how much it's there to support you and take care of you, and recognize that it's trying to give you those signals for you to listen for when you're heading towards hitting burnout. So you can make those changes, continue to show up for your burnout proof habits. So as you continue to move on down to your stomach, and then inner groin, feeling quads. What are are there tingles? You might even have these like sensations of like what feels like ants crawling all over the place. Moving on down to the calves. Oh yeah, there we go. And ankles. Can you wiggle the toes a little bit? And then let's bring the awareness on back to the arms. Go down the biceps, to the forearms, the wrists. You wiggle the fingers a little bit, just like that. There you go. Then just take a moment to be present, focusing in on your breath of inhale and exhale. Feeling your body. Having this time for you to connect. And what you can be reminded of is that you're going to have these moments coming up after this time that we have here together. We're going to have a moment of deciding, do you lean in to your best? And do you let go of the perfection? Because by leaning into your best, you create that clarity and that certainty on how much effort to put into your day. What it really means to have that satisfying exhaustion. And then you can feel it internally rather than from the judgment of others. And making burnout extinct isn't just about doing nothing and like resting and just hanging out and not being motivated to go after what it is you want in this life and your dreams, the vision you've created, and who it is you want to become. It's not about that. Yeah, it's important to rest and have those moments to recharge. And recharging may look like hanging out on the couch and watching movies, or in bed watching your favorite show. Like that happens. I like doing that. And it can be moving towards putting out massive amounts of energy into this world to go after that vision you have of who it is you want to become, and feeling this exhaustion, but such a satisfying exhaustion where then you're able to go to sleep and the tornado thoughts get quieter and get quieter and get quieter. I want to remind you, you're capable of this, and it is possible. It's just choosing your best. And in those moments, because when it comes to perfection, there's within that, there can be the skill of lying that comes up. And I will tell you, I was really good at that skill. And so it's a moment to start to build a new habit, which is telling the truth. Doesn't mean you have to share everything all at once, right? And overwhelm the people that you're talking to. Like, you don't got to do that. But it's taking some time to start sharing the truth of how you feel, the truth of experiences that are coming up for you, truth of asking for help when you need it, the truth of being able to be there for other people and letting them know. It can look different for everyone, but it comes back to focusing on being honest And what I will tell you is then there can be a weight on the shoulders just gets dropped and just gets let go. It's at times may not be peaceful for conversations that come up, but in the long term, I will tell you, it can give you peace. And it can give you this confidence that grows greater and greater within you, and courage that grows greater and greater within you, and to remind you in your body that you can handle the challenges that come your way. And when you show up like that into this world, it's at a whole next level vibe. The vibe don't lie. It's just different for that energy of how you're moving, and then from there, who comes into your life. And what's really cool is to know that we are able to tap into that. We have the capabilities to do that. It's just leaning in. And there can be natural resistance that comes up from the body with anything new for a habit. It can create uncertainty. And with uncertainty, that can create a stress response of fear from the body. The body's fearful in those moments and it wants to keep you safe. And so that's where it can try to resist in order for you to go back to your old patterns and your old habits. And that's going to be a moment where you're going to have to courageously honor the feelings that come up and that resistance, but then continue to move through it. And you're capable of that. So with one more deep inhale, in and out, and let it out. If you have your eyes closed, you can open them back up. Come on back into the space. Notice the surroundings where you're in. If you're sitting down, you can notice your butt on the seat. And I want to tell you, if you haven't heard it yet today, I believe in you. You have the capabilities to be able to focus on your best rather than perfection. And you got this.